One of the big questions surrounding the existence of God is that if God exists, why would God allow pain, suffering, and evil by his or her creatures, and perhaps even contribute to our pain and suffering? The answer to this cosmic question would almost have to be that God is a scientist, or a team of scientists who engineered us and who are as indifferent to our personal pain and suffering as a laboratory scientist or team of scientists are to the pain and suffering of perhaps microbes they engineered for the specific purpose of analyzing and testing these microbes physically and psychologically. I suspect that the laboratory we call the universe was more than likely engineered by a team of scientists who would be nothing more than technologically super advanced extraterrestrial beings who likely exist outside the universe and who probably pondered the existence of God just like we do, as the next best thing to gods, on the same scale as you would be if you were a scientist hovering incognito over microbes engineered by you, as they live and die in your invisible shadow, never knowing if you even exist at all. Or maybe God or the gods are nothing more than soulless binary code circulating through a universe that is some kind of automated, computerized universe, according to these book titles you see flashing by on your screen, whereby the presiding God or the gods would likely be as indifferent to our personal pain and suffering as the software code that runs your computer system, which is a scary thought. And with us moving along without getting too confused, as we take the universe as a computerized laboratory concept and connect it to the concept of X-ray laboratory technology that relies on computers, connected to the fact that the bits and pieces of the universe that you are or will soon be looking at are generators of X radiation of the same type you would find in X-ray machinery of any kind. As the equivalent of God's vision system, perhaps, with help from the other types of radiation generated by the stars that is and used for biomedical and scientific imaging, plus other applications, as you will soon see in the rest of this video. As we bear in mind that X-ray technologies are in part used for biological imaging, as you already know, with the bits and pieces of the universe being veritable machines that emit X-rays, including our suns and other stars and black holes that would be taking X-ray images of any biological life forms on any planets in their respective domains. This means that the sun might be taking X-ray images of all life on the surface of the earth all day, every day, and that is not even the half of it, as you will see in this video if you have some kind of attention span. The suns and black holes and other bits and pieces of the universe also produce gamma rays of the types used for medical imaging of biological processes, for medical diagnostics and research, and for the sterilization of germs on an industrial scale. Perhaps all life in the universe is being imaged via hard radiation from space. And maybe our decadent planet Earth might be sterilized one day by a distant gamma ray burst apocalypse that destroys the world by fire, just like the Bible says. Whatever the case, however, we will now look at the infrared components of the universe as compared to these technologies you see flashing by on your screen that rely on the same types of infrared radiation produced by black holes and suns, which were the only two sources of infrared radiation from space I could find on the internet, and that might be playing their roles as infrared generators as small parts of some kind of infrared imaging platform that spans the universe, in conjunction with a cosmic photography platform, sensor platform, which could include a medical imaging and remote sensing platform, and so on and so forth, that generate the same types of infrared radiation as stars and black holes. Now let us consider the microwave components of the universe compared to the technologies that use microwaves for medical and scientific biological imaging and sensor devices. This includes biological and remote sensors, as well as wireless communications devices that generate the exact same type of microwave radiation produced by suns like our own, as well as by black holes, quasars, and pulsars, and so forth, that very well might be little more than tools that are being used by extraterrestrial ETs, or who we call gods, to remotely analyze and manipulate life forms throughout the Milky Way galaxy, if not the universe, with the biophotons produced by life forms perhaps having something to do with it. As we bear in mind that biophotons are magnetic and are conducive to magnetic resonance imaging. With Earth's magnetic field falling nicely into place here, along with the magnetic fields of the stars at large, as some kind of agglomeration of hybrid MRIs and magnetic recording devices, communications devices, and other technologies that use the forces of magnetism. Just like the tiny magnetic antennas that supposedly exist in our brain, in which magnetic fields from the Earth, the Sun, and the stars at large are passing through our brain as parts of some kind of magnetic control system that spans the magnetic universe, perhaps even as the magnetic dynamics of our universe overlap into our so-called fluid universe, with the fluid dynamics of these microfluidic and nanofluidic technologies corresponding to the proven and theoretical fluid dynamics of our universe. It is also significant that our Milky Way and other spiral galaxies are also structured and behave exactly like what are called spiral microfluidic laboratory-on-chip devices of the type used for chemical and biological analysis, with the inlet valves being where the central black hole is located in our Milky Way relative to the location of our solar system, and the outlet valves in these devices. I think you get my point here. Which includes Earth's natural fluid systems of oceans, rivers, lakes, and so forth that are all teeming with life as if they were specimens in some kind of nanofluidic and microfluidic medical and scientific analytics and diagnostic device. This in turn brings us to the fact that spiral microfluidic laboratory-on-chip devices have been merged with what are called radio frequency identification chips. As we bear in mind that all galaxies produce radio waves, along with the suns, black holes, planets, and living moons inside these galaxies, exactly like these radio-based technologies that are flashing by on your screen. And although not all galaxies are considered to be radio galaxies, all galaxies nonetheless produce radio waves, like our Milky Way galaxy, and the galaxies and planets are even structured like these radio frequency identification chips, as we can see with our own eyes. As you also bear in mind that the chemical composition of the bits and pieces of the universe are identical to the chemical composition of these technologies and other technologies of the type that would be found in high-tech laboratories in the first world countries. With the radio waves from the black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy falling nicely into place here, as we bear in mind that black holes are supposedly computers as well, thereby rendering black holes some kind of hybrid computing and radio transceiver units, numbering in the trillions or more, throughout our computerized radio universe. As integral parts of some kind of computer universe, according to this book titled by an Islamic scholar, which postulates that our universe is a computer, with another theory stating that our universe exists inside a black hole, with black holes supposedly being computers, as you bear in mind that scientists are now engineering supercomputers that simulate our universe, which is supposedly full of black holes that are supposedly at the center of all galaxies and amidst clusters and superclusters of galaxies and stars, in a dynamic that more or less mirrors the dynamics of what is called cluster computing, with superclusters of galaxies and their black holes corresponding to the concept of cluster computing, which includes supercomputer clusters and superclusters of computers, juxtaposed to galaxy clusters and superclusters of galaxies. Also consider that some cluster supercomputers are liquid cooled, just like the quasi-liquid cooling dynamics transpiring in galaxy clusters, as well as around black holes inside galaxies. This cooling concept could be said with regard to the Earth, which would be considered both an air and liquid-cooled computer, if indeed Earth is a computer of some kind, with Earth's atmospheric and oceanic currents appearing to play their respective roles as air and liquid cooling. And this would include the deep oceanic channels that no doubt have something to do with the cooling of the interior of the Earth. As we consider that the chemical composition of the Earth is more or less identical to the technologies we are comparing the Earth to. Chemicals that include silicon and metals and their oxides, with the Earth also being structured like these technologies, silicon-based technologies that are flashing by on your screen. And this would include silicon chip-based microcavities for biosensing, juxtaposed to Earth's ionosphere cavity, or Schumann resonance cavity, with these resonator and microcavity based biosensing technologies falling perfectly into place here like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, including optical and photonic biosensors that generate the same resonance fields as the Earth, in addition to being spherically structured like the Earth, with ourselves being specimens in the spherical biosensor cavity we call the biosphere. With our biophotons playing their roles in ways that I will leave to your imagination. And if you like this video, then share it and hit the like button as well as the subscribe and notification buttons.